My mom is neglectful, but everyone tells me otherwise. Now I'm second guessing if I've just making it all up in my head. I, 23F, have had a rough relationship with my parents, especially my mom, 58F. We've always had a rocket relationship due to tensions with our family dynamics. For some background, I am adopted and so is my older sister, who was adopted 2 years before me. We are not genetic related at all. I've always felt insecure about my place in the family due to other family members telling me I will never fit the family pedigree, and they called me a mutt. My sister didn't have any of these issues because she fit in with the family standard: blonde hair, blue eyes, skinny, and pretty. On the other hand, am short with blue eyes and brunette hair, and I am a little bit chubby. Nowhere near fat in my opinion, but I will admit I'm a lil chubby. I stick out a sore thumb at family reunions. Because of that, ever since I was little, I always tried my best to please the family. It wasn't the best environment for me growing up, and I realized after being to therapy that I was a huge people pleaser and fawning was my trauma response. Since I've been unlearning behaviors my parents taught me, my mom has been criticizing me heavily. They are used to me catering to their needs, and since I was 6 years old, my mom would use me as a therapist to talk about her marital issues or any other kind of issues. However, if anyone in the family was bothering me and I wanted to talk about it, I told that I was being disrespectful and I shouldn't talk bad about my family. I had to grow up fast since my older sister ended up being diagnosed with multiple mental illnesses with violent tendencies. I can do a whole other post based on the abuse that I have endured from my sister. I had to practically take care of my sister even though she was entirely functional on her own. My mom told me I need to be the big sister and carrying the responsibility of it, but I wasn't given the freedoms or perks that come with being an older sibling. My sister was still technically in charge when my parents are out of town, and she would throw huge ragers, as well as abusing substances. But of course, when the house was trashed, I was in trouble. If I tried to snitch on my sister, she would beat me. Every year, I cook Thanksgiving dinner and Christmas dinner all by myself. I've literally given so much of myself for my family. I went to the university my parents wanted in the degree they wanted and graduated on the dean's list, yet my mom told me, "We've lowered the bar so much for you and you still can't reach it," even though my sister never finished college and dropped out multiple times every time she attempted. It wasn't because school wasn't for her, but of constant bad decisions. She had to drop out halfway through first semester because she got pregnant by a drug dealer and had my dad fly out to pay for her abortion. She went to community college and was walking to classes dressed like a stripper. I don't mean to slut shame women for what they wear. Since my mom constantly slut shames me even though I dress modestly, I just have a large chest. What I mean is, she'd wear booty shorts where you see more than half her ass out, fishnets, thigh-high heels, and a lingerie top. She ended up failing classes because she never went to any of them and just partied. The third time, she took one online course and failed for not doing the work. My sister does not have a job and my parents pay for her rent car, partying, etc. For some reason, I'm the failure. It would make sense if she was the golden child, except she is heavily troubled, and I think because of her mental illnesses, they have overly catered towards her. I was told that my sister needs more attention than me, and I need to be selfless and understand that she needs more than me because of her conditions. It's not conditions that mentally or physically handicap an individual, more like behavioral conditions. Multiple personality disorder, another personality disorder I forgot the name of, BPD, early signs of schizophrenia, and a diagnosed psychopath. My sister refuses to attend therapy, take her meds, and can be extremely spoiled and entitled. This is due to my parents never saying no. Having mental illness is not necessarily a bad thing, but creating a spoiled, entitled child who believes the world is indebted to her is another, especially when she has no consequences and essentially gets away with everything. If needed, I can provide examples of her being entitled if it gives more information. I was always held to a higher standard than my sister. I had to do her chores and do anything that catered towards the family. I even started making my dad's lunches when I was in elementary school. I never went to parties. I never drank. I never misbehaved. I always did what I was told. I was taught to respect my parents, But now I'm starting to realize that my parents confused respect. My parents even told me that my greatest trait is that I'm obedient. I'm starting the journey of taking my life back, but my parents are heavily pushing back on it and are trying any tactic to have some kind of control over me. For example, I wasn't always chubby. In fact, I played mini sports, but I got diagnosed with IBS and Crohn's. My doctor also wants me to come in yearly to make sure I don't develop cancer. Apparently, you are more likely to develop colon cancer with Crohn's disease. My weight fluctuates a lot, and I've been working on fixing my diet to my dietary needs. I noticed my mom's behavior towards me changed when I started gaining weight. It's like she saw me as less of a person. When I was skinny, she would always tell me, "Do you need to be eating that?" When I was a little kid, she would lock me in my room as a kid with only water and being let out for bathroom breaks for days on if she ever caught me overeating. One time, I went to visit family, and I was eating hors d'oeuvres with my cousin while they were watching a football game. My mom came by, ate a few almonds, looked at me and my cousin and said, "Wow, you guys are really hungry," and oink at us. She has been heavily pressuring me to get on Ozempic. She's been pressuring me to get it for about 9 months now and would always say things like, "Don't want to feel pretty," or "Your boyfriend is probably going to leave you if you gain more weight." Even the last time she visited me in my college state, which I decided to stay in after I graduated, she brought up my weight at a Target. She was trying to pick out clothes for me to wear, and they were all clothes that were business casual that a boomer would definitely wear. They weren't even classy, pretty, visionless, casual clothes. They were pretty tacky. I was trying to be gentle about it, but I told my mom that it wasn't necessarily my taste, and she said I needed to start dressing my age and wearing clothes that fit me. My clothes fit me. I just bloat a lot and have a bigger chest, so it's hard to find tops that fit or don't make my chest stand out. I do not like trying clothes on in public fitting rooms because of my body issues, which my mom is probably the root of. But she was trying to force me to try on the clothes at Target, and I tried to respectfully tell her that I did not like trying stuff on in person and preferred to online shop and look at reviews with people who have a similar body type to me. She asked me why, and I broke down from antagonizing comments she was making all day and said it's because I feel like a fat whale. And she told me, "You are what you are, sweetie," which really hurt me, and I asked her, "Do you really think I'm fat?" And her response was, "Well, why do you think that about yourself?" "I'm not taking that monkey. That's how you feel about yourself." I told her it's because she's constantly talking about my weight and pressuring me to get on Ozempic. She told me, "Well, you might want to start losing weight. You're going to get diabetes." For background, I don't even eat that much because most foods were irritating my stomach, and I was having a bad flare-up during that time. Most of the time, I just eat a few small meals during the day. So it's not like I'm overeating and gorging myself out. Now a lot of people were staring at us at this time because my mom tends to yell at me. I told her that I'm not fat and that I have an autoimmune disease, and she scoffed at me and made me go to the fitting room. At this point, I was already on the verge of tears and went to try on the clothes, which did not look good on my body type whatsoever. I did not show my mom because I did not feel confident and knew I did not want to buy it. My mom forced me to come out, and she laughed at me. I felt so humiliated that I just went back into the fitting room, sat on the floor, and quietly cried, and gathered myself before leaving the fitting room. It's hard to feel pretty when my mom is constantly criticizing my weight, even though my doctor said, although I'm a slightly chubby, I am healthy and I'm making all the right decisions for my autoimmune disease, and it's going to take some time for my body to adjust. I also opened up to my mom about the sexual abuse that I endured from my sister molesting me as a kid. My mom told me that I need to get over it, and that 100% of siblings have some kind of experience like this. She said it's normal for kids to experiment with their bodies. I don't know why I thought she would care when she didn't even care when my sister legitimately stabbed me with the knife and has attempted to physically murder me on multiple occasions. Since I'm an adult, my medical records are no longer shared with her either, which is something she does not like since she has a bit of a control issue. I recently got back from my paternal grandparents' funeral, and my parents were trying to give up my seat on my connecting flight back to my state to stay with them longer. I made excuse that I had a doctor's appointment the following day, which was enough to let them drop the subject. However, the following day, my mom told me that I needed to send all of my results to her so she can keep them on file, as well as a whole bunch of other unnecessary medical advice/treatment she wants to get, including, of course, Ozempic. I started communicating my issues with their neglect of me growing up and allowing the abuse my sister made me endure. The response was to tell me I'm the most disrespectful kid they've ever met. My dad always emphasizes no matter how old I get, I will always be the child. I remember even breaking down to my parents and telling them that my sister set me up to get raped by her high school friend when I was 12. My sister was in the room when this happened, and she started crying and said, "I'm so sorry that happened to you. If had known that I would have never put you in that situation, and it hurts me that you blame me for your trauma." My parents begin to scream at me and telling me to hug my sister and be a better sister and Christian, telling me that I need to forgive her and then I'm going to be a bitter person and end up alone. When I looked over at my sister when my parents were yelling at me, she was just giving me a smug smile. Later in the year, when I saw my parents, I was trying to be vulnerable with my mom and told her that it hurt me when they did that, and I asked her why did they comfort my sister when she was a perpetrator and telling them that they should have comforted me. Instead of comforting me, my mom proceeded to tell me, "I think you have mental illness." I told her I'm not mentally ill, I'm angry at my treatment. Her response was to tell me, "What, Sonny? That's part of mental illness. I keep telling myself that my feelings are valid and that this is not normal behavior. But everyone I have told has said that I need to be grateful, that they adopted me and I should be grateful for the home that I was given. My family's well off, so I had my college paid, and I understand that not many kids that have that privilege. But other than financially, my parents have never provided for me any other way, even threatening to take me back to the orphanage if I didn't do something. They also told me that they expect me to take care of them when they're old. And my mom said, "I can't wait for you to wipe my ass." When I tell other family members about what has happened, they told me that they're not perfect parents, but they're good parents. And my friends say that my life is easy because my parents are rich. My parents helped me with university, but I've been financially struggling for a while and primarily surviving off of Spam and canned tuna. Meanwhile, my sister is going out drinking every weekend and going to nice restaurants on my parents' dime. I'm just so lost because everybody I talk to is telling me that I'm overreacting or that what I'm dealing with isn't real abuse. I just need some outside perspective on the circumstance because I'm not sure if I'm overreacting or being gaslit. I would really appreciate your guys' thoughts and opinions on this matter, as well as any suggestions for better boundaries with my parents. Unfortunately, I can't go no contact with them at the moment, since I have a good relationship with my grandpa, and I know that it would break him if I went no contact with the family. My grandpa always loved me unconditionally, and he never made me feel like I am less family because I'm adopted. He's the only one that has taken my side and was predominantly the one who would raise me since my parents were so busy. I love him so much, and I don't want to cause any unnecessary stress. Once he passes, I plan on going no contact with my family. My grandpa lives with my family currently because of his ongoing health issues, so that's really the only reason why I come home for holidays and such. I'm just wondering if there's anything I can do to make things easier for the meantime. Story 2. My first date as 21 years old. Female, writing as a therapy. I only want to spill out my solo journey at the moment. When people recall their first romantic date, they may mention high school or even primary school. I recall my first date as a 21 years old female. I was single. All along the way, which was very devastating to my mental health, the urge to be called beautiful, to someone smiling at me, and the relentless zeal to the opposite gender ambiguity. Zonings out. I started college at 19 years old, broken girl who clearly does not pay a single minute to care about her appearance. She was smart, but the tough period was a no motivation to study hard. There was one special boy she totally fell for. He dressed classic, her favorite style. With his tall height, rarely speaks, his words and actions were calculated and fully controlled. That's what she lacked, and that's what she wants. Whenever he sees her staring at him, he would look away immediately. At the second year, since the girl developed herself a bit, lost some weight, rarely showed up at college. He may had noticed her. One time he was looking at her and exchanged one word at the printer lady if she wants copies as well. I stood next to him. It felt amazing. Stimulantly, I knew how normal he is and his a bit high deep vocal. There were few encounters then, but he never said hi to me in class, just eye contacts. Few talks unultimately destroyed by my stupid, insecure, nervous character. We did talk once. I know he knows my feelings, because I didn't want to hide them at all. My big smile, whenever we exchange those looks, won't fool a foolish. I changed for the better, but I just started learning makeup. I couldn't do it well, so I would remove it to avoid the shame. This time is different. I got some new clothes to my clothes wardrobe closet, classy and trendy. I do better makeup, and my body is fit. I was fat at the first year, with home exercises and free sugar diet and daily cold showers. I am stronger and started speaking to my colleagues normally and made relationships. It was amazing how me and him became friends. I was more mature. And I could control a lot of childhood behaviors. I trusted myself more. We became really cool friends. I love outdoors, but since I had no friends, I rarely did. My date comes here. I mentioned how I'd love to spend a whole day near a rocky mountain on the beach, like camping I never did. He welcomed the idea. It was like a friend accompanying his lonely friend. We met at the bus station. I like his style. Does he like mine? I wondered. We sat side by side. I loved how our thighs were touching, no effort from me to prevent it. The trail was cool. We spoke a bit. He suggested to get off the bus and walk together. It's a magnificent place at a big, very wide sea lies in front of us. I am not lying, saying it's the most beautiful place of our city. He prepared a place. We had our organic homemade food. We listened to Ed Sheeran, Shawn Mendes, and Tyler Swift. I was singing with them. He kept laughing and smiling. We talked about Dostoevsky and Nietzsche, self-improvement books. We decided to swim before the sunset. He took his shirt and pants off. I had already came in a knee shorts. I couldn't take my white top off. It was new, and I have never been with a bra in front of anyone. He questioned me. I replied how I want to maintain my new top, but he said to take it off. It's up to you. After some struggle, I did. My upper body is super thin, and I got a big buddy. I guess my weight loss and my genetics gave me the body most females want naturally. He waited for me until I removed my makeup elsewhere. I would look like a vampire when my mascara comes off. I jumped into the cold water. He pushed me again into the water and started a water fight, splashing each other with amusement. He overcome me, definitely. He got close, holding my hands. My heart was racing in the silence. He then asked me to go further in the water. I don't know how to swim, so he had to stay beside me and hold me. At a sudden, while my focus is to stay upwater, he tightened his hands on me and leaned slowly with his head to my face. Slowly, slowly. I leaned too. Our lips touched, immediately moved back a bit, and forward to a full kiss, one after the other, for 2 minutes, more or less. I found love for myself. Then we just looked at each other without a word. I changed the subject. The night was close. He prepared some hot noodles. As we were eating, I feeded him once, as he did. He leaned on my shoulder, with a manner asked to lay down on my legs as it hurts his neck, since I am shorter. He looked at the sea, avoiding looking at my bra. We talked a few more common thoughts about existence than we thought no one did. He loves me back. We left the place to the bus stop holding hands. Each other's hands. An amazing ending. I did give him a present, a cool cap of Brooklyn I bought online. It was very big but fitted him perfectly, and he loved it. This was my first date and probably the best date ever in the world. However, this what was on my mind today at summertime. The date never happened. Hopefully, a manifestation. Story 3. I think my dad suddenly hates me. I have read so many stories on here, and I want to put my story in here to see if I am being the brat or if my dad is being a bit unfair. Quick background. My dad, M57, divorced my bio mom a few years back. It was messy, was really messy. My sister and I, F26, who were adults, already had to pick sides. Sis picked biomom and I picked my dad. Since then, one side is essentially estranged from the other. Since this, my dad is in a relationship with my stepmom, F48, who I absolutely adore. Now, the issue is in the last 2 years, I can't do anything right in my dad's eyes. But thinking back, it may have started since I lost my job during the pandemic. Everything, literally everything I do is wrong. How I talk, walk, dress, look, and live are absolutely wrong in his eyes. It wasn't always like this. When I was growing up, he taught us trust was earned. According to him, I earned the trust he had in me. As a result, we acted like friends. Now he lectures me at any calm moment he has about what he thinks is wrong with me. He may not yell at me as he doesn't raise his voice, but his words are like daggers. Every little thing about me is wrong. Some of these things are natural things about me or habits I have had for years that didn't bother him till now. He wants me to act and live exactly like him, not how he actually acts, but how he thinks he acts. He wants a girl in her 20s to live her life exactly like a man in his 50s. I would try to act like him in front of him to avoid all this. But I learned he thinks he acts differently. Then he actually does. Acting like this 50-year-old man did not help, but made it worse. He did the lectures whenever he got annoyed by me. It didn't matter where we were or with who. We speak a second language, so in public, he can liqueur to me and chances a random stranger would understand was low. My stepmom and other family has called him out on it. He would try laughing it off as a joke, but after it, happening too often, stepmom put her foot down. He was fully called out and he changed his way. Not for the best. The words got sharper, lectures got longer, and he did it whenever nobody else would hear. Outside looking in, he has stopped these lectures. He has convinced everyone that he won't say anything to me anymore. So when I complained to my stepmom and my family, they didn't fully believe me and think that I am blowing things out of proportion. One side, my family says I am being overdramatic, and the other, my friends think my dad is toxic. The two-end response made me internalize it more. I think that encouraged him, so every moment we get alone, he lectures me. Those words have cut me down and many times has left me crying. My confidence has taken a massive blow. I got a job states away, and I took it in a heartbeat. I was hoping I could live my life the way I want and away from being wrong. Rather, this resulted in him doubling down. He has listed out how I need to live my life. He came to help me move, not taking no for an answer. It wasn't a smooth move, and every moment he reminded me that I already failed. Bringing in the things we brought with us, he would unpack and put it where he wants. When I called him out on it, I got more lectures that I don't know, and he knows better. He stood over me till I put everything back to where he liked it. He went back home, but he is trying to make sure I am following his way of life. It includes texts to make sure I get up when he does. He calls me when nobody's watching to make sure I am following. My dumbass could lie and say I do, but for some reason I don't. On top of that, he has new issue with me. During this move, I barely talked to him and kept communication limited. I express an option, or do anything normal for me. When he got back, my stepmom asked about how much fun he had. She mentioned that during a road trip she and I took without him was so much fun, so he has that hanging over me. I am treating him differently. I am just exhausted mentally and emotionally. I genuinely wonder if my dad hates me. He went from someone who said he was proud of who I am to telling every little thing about, is it crime or is it my fault? Sorry, I am emotional. So there may be grammar and spelling mistakes. I need to get it off my chest. And stranger, please let me know if I am the problem.